Bebe is still in, and there was some kind of surprise that he did get subbed in, but honestly, I think he played well on the Olaf against IG. He was, part of the big reason that they had that stronger early game. PK was also looking good. We know that Stitch and Koala from play-ins can be powerful when they get going. So I would like to see Bebe focusing on getting that bot lane ahead. That is also often how 100 Thieves likes to play their games. So if you can put Stitch and Koala ahead of Rikara and Aphromoo, I think that is going to be the key to teamfight victories, and that's the name of the game when you're going up against 100 Thieves.
I'll keep that in mind as the draft plays out and see, whether or not we're going to get the hands on the Olaf once again. During Phase 1 bans, Varus, Aurelia, Aatrox, Talia. So a lot of the sort of stronger picks with that targeted Varus ban towards Stitch. Still seeing Akali is up and available, but teams trying to decide what direction they're going to go. They're not going for that easy just ban the OPs that we're seeing, and you can see with the Rakan as well. So a slightly different approach for 100 Thieves and GRX so far.
Yeah, the Rakan ban is interesting. That to me says that they don't even want to pick Xayah, because oftentimes, you are going to be able to take the Xayah, give away the Rakan, something along those lines. Alistar is banned away. Urgot available. I think that should probably be the first pick here for 100 Thieves. That should give priority to Someday up in the top lane. He was the best North American top laner, first team all NALCS in the summer split. So give him that strong pick. There really is only answers to Urgot. There are really no counters, at least that we have seen shown up in pro play. So I think this is setting themselves up well on the top side of the map.
Okay, so not too unexpected. Again, the priority favorites this tournament, the Kai'Sa, the Sion, the Urgot already locked in. But if you've got the Kai'Sa in lane, if Bebe wants to help Kai'Sa get through that laning phase, whatever matchup Rikara and Aphromoo decide to lock in, there will be some tools. You've got that late game insurance, something I always love, with Kai'Sa being probably the favorite, the #1 AD carry at World so far.
Yeah, definitely the case. And it's looking like it will be Xayah. I'm interested to see if Aphromoo tries to go for something that is more laning focused to really try to punish this Kai'Sa, who is weaker than Xayah in those early levels. If you go for something, he has been known to bring out the range supports from time to time. That could work well. Also would not be surprised, though, to just see something like a Tahm Kench brought out, as that is one of Aphromoo's favorites.
We've seen Tahm Kench banned a whole lot this tournament as well. And of course, you were talking about that laning sort of pick. I wonder how far down the rabbit hole you have to go before Aphromoo considers a Bard. I'm saying considers, but it's going to be Thresh today. And over on the other side, just a brief hover, and it is in fact locked in the Nautilus. So Kai'Sa Nautilus into the Xayah Thresh, both bot lanes secured already, and we're into phase 2.
Yeah, and this is interesting. I mean, Tahm Kench was available. This is kind of the more aggressive answer into the Thresh. One of the matchups that makes it really nice is basically Thresh has a pretty big delay on the actual Q cast. Nautilus is cast out a lot faster, so when the Thresh starts hooking, you can actually hook right back into him and kind of start off that fight on better terms for yourself. There's obviously very good guaranteed engage as well, so you can put up that plasma very easily for the Kai'Sa to have an extra dive buddy.
All right, let's see who's going to get the better performance. Nautilus is a champion we've seen a couple of times, but not exactly taking over the world stage. And there's some of these more priority picks. The Ryze is off the table, the Syndra is off the table, so is Akali. So do we potentially look for, sort of the tankier mids? Does Galio raise in priority at all? Is it too much to consider? We'll find out in a moment or two as 100 Thieves will close out the ban. So, GRX, what do they lock in now, either as a flex or a blind?
I think you're going to save your mid lane pick for last, so I think they're looking at jungle here. Options like a Gragas, Olaf is even still available, I do believe. Those are the ones that are really looking like priority for me. You can look for something more aggressive if you want to do more of a dive composition along the lines of a Nocturne, so certainly are still a lot of options, but I think it makes the most sense to leave Candy's pick for last year. You also do have to take in consideration when you're playing against this Thresh, having more frontliners can be very powerful. More people to kind of absorb that hook, but it looks like they are going with the diving, more aggressive option.
Oh, I really like that. Nocturne plus Kai'Sa. Very good synergy. Actually, you know what? If you add that with a Sion and Nautilus, it's just a death ball. If at any point 100 Thieves are out of position, GRX can just decide to go in at any time. And also, it leans into this strategy you were talking about, Azael. Nocturne great at ganking and putting pressure on that bottom lane.
It definitely is. And Nautilus has incredible gank assist. It's basically guaranteed to actually apply that plasma. You have a root with your passive, you have the hook, you have the slow on your E, as well as the guaranteed knockup from your ultimate. So a lot of ways to apply that plasma. Once that is applied, Nocturne ults in, Kai'Sa can follow, and certainly there is some powerful dive there. Blind LeBlanc is going to be the answer here for Ryu, and Candy is certainly not Caps. I am not expecting him to get dominated in this game. 100 Thieves going with a very aggressive early game jungle. Xin, I think, makes a lot of sense when you have 3 lanes that are very aggressive. You have the Thresh in the bot lane, so very good gank assist there. Urgot should have priority on the top side against this Scion. So you take Xin Zhao, really strong early game matchup against that Nocturne, and also powerful ganking, and they're gonna look to play aggressive. This does seem to be 100 Thieves trying to up the tempo a bit, which is something that they haven't really been known for.
Well, let's see if they can actually execute it. Of course, a lot of criticism thrown towards 100 Thieves based on their Game 1 performance. But now that we have seen Invictus take down Fnatic, we can, temper that a little bit. Invictus definitely showing up. So this is the real test in my eyes. How well does 100 Thieves perform against GRX? In actual fact, all 3 of our games today, Azelle, is East meets West. We've got LCK, LPL, and LMS all taking on one another. But early game, it's up to 100 Thieves. GRX, what direction do they go? I really like their team
They go
fight.
dive, they go forward.
I love their team fight comp if they can get to that mid game. But obviously, they just don't want to concede too much too early against these early picks.
Definitely. I mean, I think the Lissandra is a nice pick into the LeBlanc. There is possibility of, ganking that lane, but mostly I think Nocturne is going to try to farm to 6, is going to try to cover lanes for potential counter ganks and not be being as proactive himself. The Lissandra, when LeBlanc distorts forward, if you can hit that ultimate onto her, it is so devastating. There's so much point and click CC and targeting for that LeBlanc, which makes it very difficult to navigate the fights. For Ryu, he's going to have to play that very well, but certainly 100 Thieves has priority in the early game. They should be able to win 2v2s and 3v3s with their jungle matchup. So I want to see them get proactive. You don't want them resting on their laurels, giving time for the Kai'Sa to get going, giving time for this Nocturne to hit 6.
And of course, both of these teams lost their opening match in the group stage at Worlds 2018 0-1. One of them will be able to pick up a win and, in fact, equalize the scoreline with Fnatic at 1-1 before they round out the first stage of this round robin. Is North America's 100 Thieves taking on the LMS's GRX. And these are 2 teams that actually have a lot of fans on social and around the world talking about specific players. It's Rukara for 100 Thieves, it's Bebe for GRX, and we've had discussions as well around how these players are going to be performing. And this is now an opportunity to reframe the discussion, to reframe how your fans and your league and your supporters are discussing the team and the play. And that's definitely where my eyes are going to be focusing. This Nocturne and this Xayah and how they're going to show up.
I mean, there really is so much pressure on Rukara as an individual. This is a Challenger League player who did come up and join 100 Thieves, but they played with Cody-san for basically the entire year. They swapped over to Rukara. They've kind of talked about the flexibility that Rukara does give them and how they allocate their resources in the later stages. When you have, a superstar like Someday, perhaps you want to allow him to get more of that farm, have more of an ability to carry the game, and thus maybe you want your marksman to be more of that kind of utility guy who's covering mid lane. And Cody-san was very much a player who was getting all the farm. They were playing around him. It was about the hyper carries. So it's a bit of a different look, and we'll see how they can make it work.
Yeah, definitely want to keep my eyes on that. Also Ryu, he's got this LeBlanc running pretty aggressive, got that Ignite as well. And I like the fact that with the Nocturne Lissandra Kai'Sa, if Ryu can get into a position where he can keep threatening the insta-give, can keep threatening the kill, there's a lot of tools and a lot of ways you can unlock the 100 Thieves team composition based around that single champion and that single pick.
There certainly are, but I also look at this LeBlanc and I'm thinking, how many of these guys are really good targets for you, right? It is mostly going to be him trying to get to the Kai'Sa in the team fights, and when there's a Scion and, the point and click CC here from that Nautilus as well as Lissandra, that's very scary, but we do have Xin moving down. He should have been spotted on the ward that was further up here in the river, so they do back off very intelligently, and you could see that Stitch and Koala were trying to kind of walk that line to make him waste his time and move down towards that.
All right, so Anda gonna get the Scuttle Crab on the bottom half of the map as Bebe makes his way towards the top. I think he's already secured that Scuttle, if I'm looking at the mini-map correctly. Thank you, observers.
Yeah, and I think he was considering looking down towards the blue, perhaps. No, actually, the Scuttle showing is still up. Yeah, so that was just a ward there.
Thank you.
And as Anda was actually moving up to the top side, he is going to back off, and he's actually just going to do an early base. So this is actually kind of weird from Bebe. He just does 2 camps and then is going to head back to base. Perhaps is no longer feeling secure to actually go out for that Scuttle Crab, but it does mean it's not getting too much done his first time out on the map.
Yeah, sniffing around for opportunities, I suppose. If you look at the mini-map, both Someday and Ryu somewhat pushing those lanes a little. So if Bebe were to be caught in the river by Under, you know, there was a potential of a collapse. So safe start by Bebe, and you can understand that with both of these teams a little trepidatious to begin. There's the disdain from Someday, really using the full kit of Urgot and getting a lot of damage down, in fact. A lot of 100 HP, but under the tower, you don't want to dive that yet.
Yeah, and he doesn't have his spellbook swap to ignite available yet. Anda coming up, though, and this is not warded out. They could actually go for this dive if Someday were to start it out. Now it's been spotted by the Ghost Portal. We'll see if they commit.
There's the disdain, gonna run into a minion instead, and PK is able to walk away with his life just at the right time.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a mind game. Someday was hoping that PK would expect the E flash and flash himself. I don't think he ever actually intended to commit to it. At the very least, they get out the teleport before PK had a strong buy, and they do zone him off some of those minions. So the farm advantage certainly heavily in the favor of Someday. And even the buy from Bebe was speaking to how worried he was about running into Anda. I mean, his first buy was just 2 pinks.
All right, well, this is a good start for 100 Thieves. Someday with a confident a move to begin. Admittedly, it's 4 minutes in, so I'm getting a little excited, a little ahead of myself as Ale. And Koala again moving forward. So Bebe moved in, stole away the red buff. Of course, waiting for Nocturne to really unlock Paranoia before he really becomes instrumental in those ganks. And GRX just pushing this bottom wave.
Yeah, they are just pushing this up, and I mean, they're going to be pretty happy about how this is going, having the wave control on the bottom side. They felt comfortable to actually get these deep wards once they knew Xin was on the top side, so I think that was pretty smart. Take away the Raptor camp, drop a pink there. There's 2 of those vision wards as well down on that side of the map, and honestly, they do have to play fairly safe now, though, because you see this deep ward that has been placed by Aphromoo. There's no TP on Sion, and if they were to actually commit, then Someday can hit a TP flank, and this could get turned around on them. So really 4-stitching Koala. They should not be doing anything other than pushing and then backing off.
Don't expose themselves to any risk, especially when you consider Under at level 2 showed his face. Maybe sniffing around for an opportunity. It was optimistic, of course, but wasn't too bad. We've not looked a whole lot at the CS in that bottom lane. It's bang on even, 39-36. It's only the top lane where there's a little bit of a disparity thanks to that early trade. And obviously with Bebe waiting in the wings, if Someday decides to go aggressive again, then Bebe can very easily come in behind this wave that is pushing towards GRX's side of the map.
Yeah, it's certainly possible, but I don't expect them to even try it until Nocturne is 6, because if Xin is there and you are a pre-6 Nocturne and you commit to that, you are going to lose that 2v2 very heavily. So, you know, it would be quite a risky move, and the way that GRX is playing is so risk-averse, I don't think they have really much intention of going for it. You can see, though, they're expecting that Xin is over on the scuttle as it spawned. It's pinged out. They didn't have vision on that, but that is just Bebe saying, this is where he's going to be.
Yeah.
And you can see that Ryu was playing to that side of the map, so that even tips the hand a little bit more towards that. So GRX just want to play it safe, want to play it calm, wait to get their items, wait to get their levels.
So what level do you say you have to start? You know, whenever you see a Nocturne, I always go, right, I'll give them 1 or 2. I think by 7 or 8, if you haven't done something, then I get panicky. But, you know, is that fair? Am I giving them too much leeway?
So, I mean, I think that it is fair, especially with this composition. Generally, you know, the ideal Nocturne game is you hit 6, you ult, you get a kill, back to farming. Your ult comes up, you press your ult, you get a kill, right? Like, that's what you're looking for. But in these compositions, I really do think that it's much easier to execute the GRX comp in the later stages. So they may be looking at this like and saying, you know what, Nocturne ult is going to be as a response to ganks, not necessarily proactive unless we think it's guaranteed. You know, there's nothing that says you must get something done early. I feel like that's more on the side of 100 Thieves in this game. You know, I think Thresh in teamfights is very hard to play if you do not have vision, if you're not getting picks on one of the squishy members. You know, it's unlikely you're going to get a hook on the Kaisa or someone that's really, really relevant.
Yeah, and of course, talking about that Nocturne and that Thresh, Bebe's played it once this summer, lost with Aphromoo, once similar.
Go.
And there's Ryu jumping onto Anda. The chains didn't really do enough. Candy's able to get away with that Glacial Path. And pretty easy, no summoner spells blown there at all. So good escape from Candy.
Yeah, that was actually really well timed. It's a small thing, but he spends out his claw just as the root is going to expire. He can actually take it, and nice harass down on the Koala, but buffered the hook there. Really well done to pull himself out of danger.
Here comes Anda, doesn't have access to the ultimate yet. If Koala stepped too close to the Tribush, he is in some trouble. All right, 3 talent strike has been primed. Teleport coming down, and Aphromoo's death sentence doesn't find a target. Anda continues to chase. The Dredge line pulls him in. First blood to Rikara.
Yeah, so nice there from 100 Thieves. They know there's not even a heal available because it is a TP Kaisa. They use that teleport advantage to great effect. First blood onto the AD, and they are onto this turret. This could potentially just be first turret straight up.
Yeah, definitely going to go down with this minion wave. If not, then the very next one. And Azel's exactly as you mentioned. Pressure on 100 Thieves to make the first move. They pull it off with the someday teleport in that teleport advantage from the trade several minutes ago. You know, it's a snowball effect, and here's a replay.
Yeah, and here it is one more time. Flash Hook is responded to, but you see how Onda is waiting back, expecting that Stitch will have to flash away. That is really good communication and play between Afromu and Anda there. Afro is essentially saying, if you don't flash, you're hooked. If you do, you're into my Zin and you're dead anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So well played. 1,000 gold advantage, tower first blood, actual first blood, and that allows Rikara to pick up his Berserker's Greaves as well as the BF Sword. I'm taking a look at lane assignments for now. Rikara still, well, he was hinting towards bot lane, but traditionally when that tower falls, you consider swapping pretty early on. That looks to be the case.
Yeah, I do think we'll see them probably head up towards top side. You know, LeBlanc is still sitting there. You can send your Urgot bottom. Sometimes the teams will try to do Rift Herald Ben swap, but it's so early in the game. I think you should just send Someday down to that bottom side for now.
Yeah, of course. I really like that little drop down we saw. World's average for level 6 Nocturne around 710. Bebe got his 825. It's interesting when you look at the context of all the games, you see the impact of the different champions, and you know, it's still a fairly small sample size, all things considered, especially we haven't seen a whole lot of Nocturne.
Yeah, and it's not surprising to know he's behind the average just because of how you watched him play the game, right? Did 2 camps and then based, lost 2 pink wards. That is saying, I don't want to die to this Sin.
Yeah.
I want to stay away from this Sin. And he has done that to his credit. He is at that level 7 mark now, so we'll be able to look for opportunities, or at the very least, as I said, counter ganks, right? Like, he's sitting back by this turret. Rikara has no flash, so if he steps too far forward, hey, maybe you go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Punish the positioning if possible. Bebe got that paranoia, and of course, if Koala can get some of that CC from the kit down, of which there is plenty, so easy for Stitch and Bebe just to get all the damage down, especially now the Killer Instinct is there as well. But 100 Thieves are respecting the potential engage. They are backing away. I'm waiting for Death Touch. I'm waiting for level 6 Nautilus, because that feels like it will be the go button, and there it is. But unfortunately, Rikara and Afromu, they're safe. They've fallen back. Obviously now Bebe's spotted out by the ward, so this is a really good opening 10 minutes for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, they're playing it intelligently, right? Anda's on the bottom side of the map, so you shouldn't be posturing aggressively. You need to see Afromu playing behind his AD, which is what he was doing. You know, if you posture aggressively, well, there's no opportunity to Lantern. Then they go for it. So knowing Zin's on the bottom side, they do not look for that, but Zin is around mid lane now and could potentially respond to any plays, but GRX want to do this on the top side. Nocturne and Lissandra are there.
All right, so the response from 100 Thieves is to try the flank. As 4 members from North America flanking, Candy's already used that Glacial Path to escape. Distortion forward from Ryu. I'm looking for CC Afromu. Swing and a miss. Doesn't find GRX.
Yeah, nice sidestep there by Candy. They even moved Someday up, so they were expecting that GRX would commit to that, but I think because Someday had made the rotation, they say, no, let's back off, allow PK to push this out, then we'll have priority on the bottom side of the map. And as Someday does walk back down to that bottom side, he doesn't have his TP available, PK does. They should now have priority on the top side, and here is the teleport to try to make good on that.
All right, the recall is just about to finish there from Under. Teleport was cancelled, in fact.
Ooh.
And we get a quick glimpse, so deciding against it, bailing out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that's again PK, summon a spell disadvantage, just not getting anything from it.
Yeah, that is a disappointing one to be sure for them. The one thing that may work in their favor is I'm not sure if 100 Thieves would have noticed that. You know, they don't have vision in that area. So if someone was looking at that place on the map, you can see the TP animation, but no one was right there. Maybe they don't even know that they have that summoner disadvantage. So we will see if 100 Thieves plays with respect to it. And, you know, that is a small thing. Still very disappointing for GRX to see that TP go to waste, as, you know, we saw how much 100 Thieves got out of theirs.
And it just, it gives you questions, because we don't know why. We don't know the reasoning. And it's all up to speculation. Of course, PK, he's finished up that Righteous Glory. First item spikes are starting to come in. Proto Belt for Candy. Warrior Enchant just picked up by Bebe. So, you know, we're hitting that point in the game where some skirmishes and some team fights start to appear. And for GRX, still no real, you know, proactive strong plays yet. Teleport to the top lane. Bebe's waiting to get involved, so this could be that reactionary Nocturne, the disruptive paranoia. That, you know, it is a way to use the ultimate. It's not the way I prefer, but it can work.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes you pick something that's stronger in the early game to cover for something that's stronger in the late game, right? And in this case, hey, despite the fact that Kaisa actually died and lost first turret, he's up 20 CS, right? So Stitch is still doing fine. He's to the Stormrazor faster than Rikara is. So in that regard, they are probably pretty happy, and they may just feel we do not need to make those proactive plays. We can just wait, and Stitch will carry us through in the later stages. So we'll see if that's what they're going to look for. You know, at the same time, 100 Thieves has played with respect to that Nocturne ult. When Xin is not there, they're not posturing aggressively, and they're not really giving a lot of opportunities over to GRX.
Yeah, that's definitely a way to pull into this mid game. Use some of the skirmishing power of the team composition to your advantage. I mean, 100 Thieves in a very comfortable position right now. They punish GRX where they can, and Stormrazor was just completed, so not too far behind the power spikes of GRX. And of course, just to remind everybody that in the group, whoever wins this game will be tied with Fnatic, right? They play one more game tomorrow before they close out the round robin, and then wait a couple days before...
Looking for a play here on mid lane.
Candy, once again, will get out clean. Ryu has missed a fair number of those ethereal chains, needs to connect them to set up those kills.
Yeah, you can see that they move Sunday up. Sunday has been trying to use his lane priority pretty well, and to his credit, he has been roaming around the map. He pushes the wave, and then he looks to try to make something happen, and you really do like to see that. Whether it pans out or not, it makes the GRX players play with more respect, and not going to take that hook, as it did land on the Nautilus.
I was about to jump, Isaiah. I'm waiting to see if 100 Thieves felt the urge to engage, but they didn't, and a large number of members between 100 Thieves and GRX in the mid lane.
Mid.
Rift Herald has been summoned. Remember, PK without teleport had to walk his way down. The boop connects onto the mid tower. There's enough minions to allow an engage. There goes the unstoppable onslaught. PK dashes forward, starts to back away. Afro move, forced to flash for his life, and vision is denied. Darkness by GRX. The fight gets split on multiple fronts, but nobody's down yet. PK finally gets Afro move. Candy fighting for his life, but Stitch with a killer instinct. He gets himself the second for GRX. Under gets another in the top lane as PK gets turned to zombie mode. Under's running for his life, got no flash available, and the kill will be secured by Stitch.
Nicely done by GRX. They make the dive work despite the fact that Bebe ulted so late. Someday was able to come through with the teleport, but GRX just wins the straight up team fight, showing they don't need to be proactive. They can wait for this Kaisa to come online, and Stitch now picking up a couple kills there is going to be feeling really good.
The tower, 3 kills to 1 death, and of course landing in Stitch's hands. That's exactly what you want to see for GRX. They swing the gold lead into their favor, and this is how it all started.
I would have liked to see the Nocturne ult a lot earlier, because if you Nocturne ult first, the Urgot couldn't have even TP'd in, and you may have been able to dominate it even harder. But just now it does come out. He does dive further in onto the LeBlanc, and on the side, you can just see that Stitch has stayed safe for so long, and then now that the cooldowns are down, he uses the killer instinct. He dives forward onto Rikara. Rikara has to flee, and Anda is separated from the team, does trade over 1 kill. But again, this is heavily in the favor of GRX, who has more of that scaling marksman, who has, I think, the advantage in that later game stage.
And that's exactly what GRX needed to make sure they retain control of the game. I absolutely love being overly dramatic on the first use of important ultimates. You know, like a Shen Stand United or a Paranoia from Nocturne.
Dictates the entire game.
It does. In my brain, it does, because it colors every future move. And for Bebe, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, so you're telling me they already won.
Well, I think they have the tools. I mean, that team fight was very, very good. But it's how they wield them. You can have the ability to win.
Yeah.
You have to show that
you have the sword, but you have to swing it.
There we go. That's the way I like to think about it.
All right.
But taking a look at the mid lane now, 100 Thieves, they're definitely going out of this game. Afromu throws out the death sentence. By the way, Ryu sitting with that Luden's Echo. He's sitting in base for now, waiting to see what direction he goes.
Yeah, and I think one of the things for 100 Thieves that's going to be so important is if they can actually get vision control over an area, Thresh and LeBlanc are so much stronger from darkness, right? If you do not know where these guys are, and you can hit a hook on a carry, you can chunk someone out coming from behind as a LeBlanc. That is so ridiculously impactful, and that is why GRX is going to want to move around with all these meatballs, put up the Nautilus in front, put up the Scion in front, get vision. And 100 Thieves has to fight against that and try to deny it.
And also, I don't want to see 100 Thieves and GRX, remember first, I don't want to see 100 Thieves go into GRX in a 5-on-5. I prefer the Death Ball synergy that the GRX comp has. And for 100 Thieves, much prefer 2v2s, 3v3s with the Xin Zhao, the LeBlanc, the Urgot, where they can really utilize the champion's full kit. So every time I look at the minimap, I'm looking at the vision, I'm looking at lane assignments, and Someday continues to impress. He's pushing up to that bottom inner turret. He's going to start pulling some pressure. And yes, 100 Thieves lost one tower, but what can they take in return? Pressure on mid, pressure on bottom, pressure on PK as well. He's got no flash to his name. Sunday's going to continue chase forward. There's the fear beyond death, turns him into zombie mode. Paranoia by Bebe. He's jumped onto Ryu. Ryu manages to find the lantern to safety. And 100 Thieves, they don't get a tower yet. Only the kill, and I think that's still an advantage GRX.
Yeah, well, they do get the kill, and they could push in now. We'll see what they can get in the subsequent fight here. It's a 5v4. GRX looks like they want to try to defend this, but Ryu is trying to threaten the flank.
All right, Ryu's on the side. The ethereal chains have popped. 10 seconds before PK's up with the teleport. Glacial Tomb is thrown down. The tower at 50% HP, but Koala at 0. He is killed, and 100 Thieves back away.
Yeah, they get another kill, but GRX are going to be able to hold on to the turret. PK is up and has his TP. 100 Thieves need to reset for this Infernal. It's spawning in 10, and that is going to be a critical dragon for them. They really want to be able to be the first to the scene, get the vision, and try to take that. I feel like 100 Thieves really need to prioritize that. I don't think you want to be giving it away at this point in the game.
And you can see the control wards, a string of them, 1, 2 on your screen, 1 in the river as well, being set up for that mid lane push that happened a moment or two ago. That will be fairly useful in the ensuing dragon setup. 100 Thieves are barreling for this objective, and there's no response yet from GRX.
Yeah, they are heading over to that direction. If you can deny that one ward that is outside the Baron pit, it gets very difficult for GRX to actually move forward and even check on that dragon because of these 3 pink wards in a line here, as we saw. So we'll see. I mean, the problem for 100 Thieves is they never actually swept the Dragon Pit, so GRX doesn't have to check. And 100 Thieves doesn't realize that just yet, and they will be able to spot it. So that ward paying so much for them, and they should have actually seen it pop now. Looks like it's not even going to be contested, though.
Yeah.
GRX is just trying to push out the sideways. They're using this time to go top, and I think that's fine for them. You don't have to contest that, but certainly felt like a bit of a necessity for 100 Thieves to be able to secure that.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, with the Cloud and the Infernal now, 100 Thieves, 2 dragons to 0. They're down a tower, up in kills, and GRX have the superior map control. 100 Thieves have got a little bit more late-game insurance in the form of those dragons. But it is definitely a very even game thus far. 20 minutes in, we're out of the laning phase. We've started doing a lot of movements, and he's really showing authority or stamping control of the game. It reminds me a fair bit of GRX versus IG yesterday. It was slow to start. It looked fairly... They traded a bunch of blows before 1 or 2 team fights in the 20 to 25 minute mark just sealed the deal.
It really does feel like one of those games that's going to be a fight into a Baron, and whoever wins that is probably going to be the team that's taking the game. You know, this is kind of very much how the 100 Thieves like to play. You know, they do play often very much for the vision control around Baron. They try to make sure if any fight they take is heavily in their favor. They're not a coin flip type of team, and we'll see if they can actually get the setup. And these team fights are going to be very, very interesting.
I'm very familiar with that. It's definitely the Prolly effect. A lot of teams and players that Prolly has coached over the years have been fairly risk averse, and it is a little bit more about that clean, safe, secure play. And you're seeing that with 100 Thieves. But there needs to be deeper vision. If you look at the minimap, GRX, they've got defensive wards themselves, and 100 Thieves are placing them in the river. But if you want to push past, if you want to get into territory, you've got to break open those tier 1s. You're going to get into GRX's base. And right now, that mid still standing is a gigantic pressure point that 100 Thieves needs to break.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, but they're going to look for Someday here.
Nobody saw that.
Definitely did not watch Tokyo Drift. It's not a Vin Diesel move right there.
No, it is not. Well, to be fair, I don't think Vin Diesel was in that one, so that might be why. Nevertheless, PK with a face. I think I've actually watched too many of those movies, to be fair. Candy and Ryu going to meet face-to-face. There's some in the top lane. But yeah, I think for 100 Thieves, with tier 1 still up at 22 minutes, it becomes so difficult to apply pressure to GRX to get into their base and even consider things like, you know, Baron or anything else. Tier 1's, the amount of vision and control they offer is unparalleled at this stage in the game. There goes Ryu's going to land the chains. They shall pop, not enough distance, but the Tomb will buy some time. Under, as well as Afternoon can jump in. The vision denial from Bebe. That's a good defensive ult. Decides to jump forward. And GRX, they will save their mid laner.
Yeah, actually, pretty decent trade there for GRX. They get the flash off Afromu for just that Nocturne ultimate and the defensive ultimate there from Lissandra, but we'll see if 100 Thieves can actually take this turret now off of the pressure because Candy has gone back to base. PK is going to perhaps TP in. He is going to base as well, so he has the threat of it.
Yeah, and of course, Koala may just be jumped on by several members. He was forced to use some summoner spells to escape. As you can see on the minimap, Death Sentence will connect. He throws out the Death Charge, but Fear beyond
the Fear
death.
lands.
Gobble, gobble, gobble. Someday takes him out. There's a Killer Instinct who's defensively a PK. He joins the fight. The box is put down in the jungle. And take a look at Ryu. He's blown up, baby. Candy goes golden in the middle of the fight, and Afromu's trying to run for his life. Ricara's untouched so far, and Stitch is being run down. Ricara takes him out. PK's stuck in between 100 Thieves, and he's going to get some support from Candy. The flash route down. They're going to find a kill into Afromu, and Ryu's now running for his life. Whoever strikes first can pick up the kill. Vision in favor of Candy, but he's not going to find the shard. And the roar of the Slayer comes out. Ryu's still running for his life. He can distort backwards. Does so. Gets out of range of the decimating smash. Flashes away from Candy. Cue the Benny Hill. Ryu's running for his life. Here comes PK.
He's
roar
going
of
to
the
get
Slayer
out.
goes out, and Ryu does it.
Now you see him, now you don't. Ryu pulls off the magic trick there, able to get out. A very even team fight in what looked like it would be very 100 Thieves favored as they get this early kill onto Koala and then are able to actually, watch this play here from Someday as he pulls the ultimate, he's moving towards Stitch to actually get the Fear. Landing the Fear onto Stitch gets both the ultimate and the flash off Stitch. And then Ryu on the top side. We talked about Vision. He finds Bebe and blows him up. Then, seeing Stitch, knowing he has no flash, Ricara flashes on top of him with Anda. And they do commit a lot to take him out, but Ricara gets so low that he can't re-enter the fight. And the solo laners are still healthy here for GRX, which allows them to re-enter, to pick up another kill on Afromu. And Ryu does escape in the ensuing play, but very even one presented there by Acer Predator.
I absolutely love the team fights this game. Every time we've seen a big 5-on-5, it splits up. It gets really involved on multiple fronts. But what I like is 100 Thieves team, they want to do that. The champions want to be split up, and that's why they've got the kill lead. They've got the dragons to their name. They secured the mid turret, which is one objective towards the Baron. And at 25 minutes, you have to think that's going to start rising in priority.
Yeah, I mean, the fights are so interesting because there's all these extra kind of more complex abilities that you have to actually, be able to pull off. 400 Thieves to be able to win those fights. Ryu has to find those pockets where there's no vision and be able to zone out the Kai'Sa. You can't just walk forward and fight the tanks. And if you can actually keep Kai'Sa in the backline, not diving in, then hey, Xin Zhao ultimate becomes very effective as well. You can actually use that as a somewhat pseudo-defensive ability, protecting some of your carries, protecting your other front line. And 100 Thieves have got to really walk that line.
And of course, for 100 Thieves, the added pressure of the social media and everybody looking at them saying, what can you do? How will you perform? For now, they're going to be under pressure in the mid lane. They secure the tower top. PK's going to get that decimating smash, and the Iron going to help quite a lot. But now the turn, Death Sentence comes up. Bebe uses that stopwatch to buy some time. The box comes down. Ricara is burst very low, but so is Stitch. He manages to kill Instinct for a few seconds longer. Ricara takes him down. Sunday's pushing forward with Under. Ryu's fighting Candy in the back, and everybody from GRX is routed. They're trying to escape. Candy's now going to be the focus. He gets jumped on with an audacious charge. A burst from the distortion. The shutdown onto Ryu. How is Candy still alive?
Oh, he don't use it. And
now lost to stay alive further before Sunday finally takes him down. GRX, now there's a very good Death Sentence. He manages to catch out Bebe. And GRX, they survived way longer than they should have.
Yeah, 100 Thieves are going to go to Baron. The pings are onto it. They got the kill onto Bebe, which was the critical one. And Someday was incredible in that fight for the 100 Thieves. They are now onto the Baron. TP coming in from PK. GRX want to fight it.
Okay, PK will be there. And teleport coming down from Stitch as well. So that's two very important members. The Disdain will secure a kill onto Koala, and PK's actually alone. He's going to get knocked up into the air. The rest of 100 Thieves are coming up. Follow Afromu. Flash is available in a moment or two. Decides against a further chase. The investment, not worth the payoff. 100 Thieves, 1,500 gold up.
Still, they get both TPs there as well as a kill, which is going to feel really good for the 100 Thieves. No, they didn't get the Baron, but this play actually just saves the fight here pretty much. from Someday, moving in front, absorbs the Cyan ultimate, gets the Stone Blade out before a lot of that damage comes through, and he soaked up so much there, allowing Ricard to stay healthy. And imagine had Ricard taken any of that, he certainly would have lost the duel, and Ryu now.
Oh, Ryu gets taken down. Stitch, just solo. I mean, lands the W, lands the R, and it's so difficult against the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, just kinds of things there, diving in, taking out the LeBlanc in a 1v1.
And of course, Someday, just to go back to the point you were saying, Azale, sort of the unsung hero so far. He's right place, right time, doing the right thing consistently.
But he's trying to get out.
All right, see, and again, he escapes again. Wow, let's find out if Ricard can survive. The box has come down. The front line for 100 Thieves is doing their job. Dredgeline pulls Koala to the tower, and Sunday's in the back end. He is still doing everything in his power to keep 100 Thieves in it. A flash death sentence from Aframu secures a kill onto Candy, and despite PK getting the knockup, it's simply not enough. Under gets another onto
Can he even miss
there
the hook?
Is another for 100 Thieves, and it's just so good. They win consistent fights back to back.
Aframu hit hook after hook after hook in that fight. A thing of beauty there from the NA superstar, and again, back to the Baron. Bebe, no flash, no ult, no smite available. This one should be going the way of 100 Thieves.
100% the case. Bebe gonna maybe look to contest, but with Ryu waiting in the wings and popping the blast cone, there's simply no way in. So 100 Thieves cement control of this game. And again, I have to praise every single team fight. They're doing the right thing every time.
Yeah, they really are. And this was actually the replay of the earlier kill. Ryu just gets straight up outplayed. He chose that fight and just got slammed by Stitch. So that's what prompts the further engage. But there is the Stone Plate again before really any damage is taken. He gets the Lantern out to safety, and then we see that Candy coming in here. He gets hooked on his claw. He's not able to get on top of Ricard. Ricard has the ultimate out to root up Candy coming out of that. And Someday is 1v4ing in the back line, able to survive, buying so much time for the team there. Aframu hitting hook after hook after hook, and it secures them the fight and the Baron.
This is how you need to play Thresh on the international stage. 0-2.
Support's too easy,
and,
dude.
Well, I'll let you say that one, respectfully. I suck at support. But Aframu, as you said, every single death sentence, he's in the right place at the right time. He's using the Lantern effectively. But what I like is he's pivoting. Whenever you see Threshers, they tend to be, you know, fishing bots or Lantern bots. And Aframu is swapping as is necessary this game.
I mean, this is the Aframu effect, right? This is what won him the MVP in spring. He has the ability to take over a game at any time. When this guy is on a playmaker, you always feel like his team has a chance. Think back to all of the CLG games with Aframu, all of this year's games with 100 Thieves. He always is that X factor. It's not just the shot calling, it's the playmaking. He has the confidence to go for it, and he has the skills to pull it off.
Exactly, and this time around, 100 Thieves take their 6th tower in what feels like a blink of an eye. 5 minutes ago, this game was bang on even.
Yep.
And now it's a 7,000 gold lead with 1 minute and 40 seconds of Baron. And there is once again the Lancet. Ricard does get caught by the dredge line, but the Featherstorm buys some time. He's 5-0-6 on the Xayah. Paranoia's thrown down. I'm waiting to see where the target goes. Dredgeline once again finds the target. Under jumps forward with the audacious charge. They've traded 1-for-1. Jungle for support. Candy's running for his life as Ryu's running low on mana, so doesn't want too long of an exchange. But Ricard can finish this out. He's basically untouched. With the help of Someday and the rest of 100 Thieves, they get themselves a couple more kills. They get themselves access to the inhib, and they get themselves control of the game.
Yeah, it is 3v2 now. I'm not sure they're going to keep pushing, though. Stitch and Candy are alive and back to full health, so 100 Thieves will take their victory, will back off here. And it's Bebe there, committing the Nocturne ultimate, but not having the confidence to actually use it to go forward and look for a kill. Even with Ricard not having his ultimate down, I feel like you need to take that risk when the Featherstorm isn't available because your team is up against it. They are back against the wall, and here's the fight one more time. The Featherstorm is spent there. Koala did a great job getting it out, and you have to think, all right, Candy and Bebe are going to tag team dive in. Bebe pops the ultimate, but you'll see it just expires. Candy doesn't take the claw. There's not the coordination to get to that 100 Thieves backline, and when Ricard has this much time that is being bought by Someday, by Ryu and Anda, he is going to be able to clean up that fight.
Really impressed with how 100 Thieves are playing these out. That fan line, you had to get through Urgot, LeBlanc, as well as Thresh. It's very difficult, and And we got the bases broken open. Dragon was secured as well. So it's just everything is in 100 Thieves' favor. Still an unkilled, untouched Makara. 707. He just finished the Phantom Dancer to complement the Hurricane, Stormrazor, and Eye Edge.
Yep, that is over 100% crit. And that is going to be one strong Xayah there. If you give this guy really any free time, he is going to shred through your front line. Sion is really the only one who can kind of stand up, and Lissandra is going to have to use those stasis very, very well with the self-ultimate, with the Zonias to be able to kind of buy time.
It's going to be a difficult situation. In order for GRX to come back from this position, they have to blow up Makara or Ryu as early as is possible, and then use a numbers advantage to try and zone away the rest of 100 Thieves. But when you consider the comp, there are 4 damage dealers on their side. I mean, even Under, with the GA on that Xin Zhao, he hurts if you give him enough time.
He really does. And one of the things that Xin at this point can't do with the Sterix and GA, you can simply dive forward onto Stitch and trade out your life to buy time. Because if that GA is coming back up and Ricard has shredded down the front line of the opposing team, well, Stitch can't even stay around to clean up that fight.
No, Ryu's flirting with danger, distorts over the wall, manages to get that Sigil of Malice down, but not enough damage just yet. And looking at the minimap, Supers will just about crash into the base. That's why Bebe's there to catch them. He's got the paranoia if needed for a team fight, and Candy's going to be fishing some sort of route. There's some good burst, good chunk onto Candy, and this should open up the inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, it will a little bit, but there's not a minion wave available just yet. GRX are doing a good job hanging on, and if they can continue holding on, mitigate loss, just keep clearing those waves, they may have a chance to challenge at another neutral objective. But 100 Thieves playing this patiently, they will not commit unless they see a really good opportunity.
Yeah, and especially with Baron coming up in a minute and a half. Look at that damage! Whoa, that hurt! 100 Thieves burst out Candy. That's all you need, the zoning damage. Get a second inhibitor. Absolute map control, and with a minute 20 before Baron, the bot inhibitor's up in 2 minutes. The safe play is to wait for Baron, grab that, and then look to kill the Nexus.
Yeah, and that was really nice play from Ryu, twice in a row, chunking out Candy, sending him back to the well to heal, and that got them the time to move forward. And now GRX are going to have to make a stand. I don't think you can afford to give up that third inhib if 100 Thieves commit.
Absolutely not. The Dredge line does find a target, but look at PK. Even through the stone plate, he is being focused down. Forced to flash defensively. And this, once again, is another very good move.
Ryu.
Look at Ryu. Gets good damage on that double distort. The inhibitor tower is the focus. Super minions getting close to the Nexus turrets from the bottom lane. GRX have got too many threats on too many fronts with too many problems to solve. And that will be the third inhibitor being focused. It's not killed just yet. Defensive flash from Under, audaciously charging forward, and then instantly backing out with the Lantern, but the inhibitor stands.
Yeah, I think it's time to retreat. You want to be able to reset before the Baron does come up. That is 24 seconds until that happens, and GRX do barely hold on to their base. One inhibitor remaining, but there's going to be pressure in top and bot with that Baron alive. 100 Thieves know there's not a lot of vision on the map from GRX because they've been pinned in their base for so long, and Aphromoo already over there sweeping out the pit, making sure that they are going to have control in that area.
Yeah, especially if you look at the vision in the top quadrant. A couple of control wards deep. Going to place a few more wards before they start this Baron, I'm sure. And wait for the minions to crash. I mean, bottom inhibitor will respawn fairly soon, and if you look at the waves, it will take a little bit of time before they're threatening the base. But 100 Thieves have got absolute control, so they don't need to rush this. They want to pick up their first win of the group stage, tie the record with Fnatic, and pick up that much-needed W when you start looking towards the second half of the round robin.
Yeah, and also just starting to build that confidence, and you can see the focus on vision here. 3 pink wards for Anda. We just saw one drop by Aphromoo. Ryu has one as well, and they're trying to cover this area, trying to clear out as much vision as possible to give Ryu and Aphromoo in particular some room to play with those hooks, with those picks that they're going to be looking for.
Yeah, good response here. Ledgeline once again will be the opener, but Someday has not taken any damage. And yes, the stone plate is used, but I'm looking for some sort of follow-up. Where are the hooks? Death Sentence or the Chain. If one of them connects, somebody will die. PK goes all the way forward and then starts to run away. No flash available to him. Dredgeline will catch.
The fear on 4!
Manages to find it. PK's down. Look at GRX's HP bars. They're nowhere to be seen. The burst damage is immense. Stitch jumps onto the back line, but it is simply too little. It is simply too late, and 100 Thieves turn towards the bait.
It was some day's fight. He finds the ultimate, hits them all with the fear, and they are going to find their first win at Worlds.
100 Thieves with a fantastic close to the game. They take down the Nexus turrets after acing GRX. 100 Thieves pick up their first win at Worlds and another win for North America.
That's a big one for 100 Thieves. This is a team they needed to beat to be able to have a chance at getting out of groups, to build that confidence, and honestly, to shut up some of the doubters, to show that they can perform on the international level. A good game here against GRX.
Completely agree. And I really, really want to resonate on that point. It's one game analysis is not fair to anybody. We need to see the whole group stage. There's 48 games played by the end of today. We're only going to have 18 of them wrapped up. 100 Thieves, very clean victory. We've got our analysts ready to break down how 100 Thieves picked up their win. So Dash, take it away.
Thank you very much. Quick shot. Big win for 100 Thieves here to establish themselves on the scoreboard in the early stages of the group stages. But again, great challenge out of GRX. We saw many back and forth moments. They really pushed 100 Thieves to need to make some solid plays in order to come away with that victory.
And it was a lot of team fighting as well, and I think that's where 100 Thieves felt comfortable in that pocket. You know, when it's kind of going back and forth, when you're shooting from the hip, but when it is this collective big 5v5, if there was going to be one point in the game that you would have faith for 100 Thieves, I think it is kind of around those big sweeping ARAMs in that mid lane.
Yeah, and it's in close games where they don't get steamrolled early on. This is one where they're actually able to get some of the aggressive moves at the start of the game. Love the Thresh for Aphromu, love the Xayah for Rikara. And the Xin Zhao, I think, is going to be seeing a little bit more play as we move on group stage, since so many of these tiltable lanes, like skill matchups, can be turned by an early game jungle.
And I completely agree with you, Jack, because I think what we saw when they played up against Fnatic was that Ander made some pretty solid early game moves, but this time around he actually turned it into advantages for 100 Thieves. And the fact that they're able to get through what has often been a challenging laning phase into a pretty stable and solid mid game, this is what we heard from all the NA analysts, which is very much, if they can just get through a rough laning phase, then we can actually start to see some of the team fighting prowess of this 100 Thieves.
And that was the key thing for me. You know, hindsight analysis, the fact that Candy is more of a, to me, defensive mid laner, I think really helped him protect Ryu. I think he had a good escape on his LeBlanc. He didn't get solo killed 5 times, so obviously that's going to help. And it allows Ander to just not have to play, you know, babysitting duty. He's actually able to make proactive plays and get them to this stage in the game.
Now, a player that I do want to take a moment to talk about, though, for 100 Thieves is Rikara. Because let's not forget that just over a month ago, Cody Sun was the starter for this team. And I'm going to throw this out there. Rikara is the least experienced player in terms of professional games played of every player in attendance at the World Championships, with 5 pro games before coming to Worlds. So with that in mind, with the stakes, with the pressure, this idea that, hey, I have so little experience and I'm expected to step up on this stage, the performance he put up in this game, it would be well beyond expectation.
I mean, it's pretty much step up or shut up for a lot of the NA fans that like blew down on 100 Thieves. In fact, even the analysts, I think we all predicted against them. You know, a lot of people weren't very high on 100 Thieves coming in. No one knew what it was going to say. And a lot of it was because of Rikara. You know, his name came up every single time. No one knows what type of ceiling to expect from this. No one knows what type of experience he's going to bring. And to go 9-0-9, I think he just shut everyone up.
Yeah, I thought he had a great game. I hope he can sustain some of this success. The Urgot bought space in team fights, right? The Thresh Lanterns were incredibly effective. I do think GRX played poorly, but this also tends to happen all the time for like Aphromu's ADCs. They have like this giant KDA, and everyone's like, come on, give him credit.
Right.
We're going to see how it goes on.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I mean, I think it is, you you're not without concern around Ricard due to the CSDs from previous games that he's had. This is just one solid game, and it's great to see him step up in that moment. But as you mentioned, it is a duo in that bot lane, and the MasterCard player of the game is going to Afromu this time around on that Thresh, being the playmaker the team needs to pick up the win.
And he landed some fantastic hooks this time around, whether it be securing a defensive kind of hook in this situation to kind of prevent Candy from swinging the team fight so heavily in the favor of GRX. Yeah, like that's the kind of hook, but also a number of saves to get his teammates out of clutch situations. I feel like that he was a big part of swinging the team fights in favor of 100 Thieves.
And the thing is you look at Afromu's career, the fact that he's had 80 carries, Stixay, Cody Sun, now Ricard standing next to him, you know, these names have never really been like the forefront of North American talent, even on a domestic, never mind an international stage. But Afromu standing next to him, he like creates superstars. So a Thresh performance like that allows Ricard to shine, and I'm just happy that his support finally gets some love.
Tons of experience, and therefore it is no surprise that when they do find themselves in a situation late in the game with some gold in their pockets, that they can actually navigate their way to a victory. I do want to touch on GRX just real quick, as they sit now at 0-2. And in particular, I want to take a look at the jungle position, because throughout the play-ins, we saw the team using Empty, and to large success, as here they are in the group stages now. But Vidius, Bebe coming in hasn't necessarily looked terrible, but maybe a bit underwhelming with an 0-2 scoreline.
Yeah, and the thing is, Bebe was the jungler that they used way more during the regular season. We had question marks like, why are they using Empty? This guy only has 5 games. But then you see him in the plains, and his synergy with Candy was spectacular. You look at his KDA, you look at his kills plus assists at 15, and that's the big thing, 2.8. He was very active in the early game, especially with his mid laner. Whether it be playing around him or just looking for early game opportunities, I was really impressed with what he was able to pull off. And I'm just asking the question, why are we not trying to mimic that performance here in the group stage?
Yeah, Jay, you just said earlier in this segment that you could see Xin Zhao as a pick rising to even more priority due to some of the early action, the increased early action. If Empty excels at that, would you not consider bringing him in from this point forward?
Yeah, if I'm GRX, I would want to play him from this point forward. I think if we're trying to look at what they were thinking, they were expecting to make it out of play and thought, hey, we're going to bring in a new look, an unscoutable jungler here. But I think after losing to 100 Thieves, when there are 2 bigger fish in the group already, I think it's time to put back in the guy he won with in the playing stage.
Yeah, very much so. 100 Thieves now moving to 1-1. This does tie them up with Fnatic. And so while earlier today, I was almost, saying farewell to the group as IG Fnatic will get out 1-2. There still has to be some consideration to Fnatic, overlooking opponents like 100 Thieves and GRX.
Are IG and Fnatic monster favorites in this group? Absolutely. But sometimes one game is all it takes to turn the tide. So Fnatic and IG need to make sure they're not looking through 100 Thieves or GRX. The GRX game against IG was close until about 20 minutes yesterday. A lot of stuff can happen in best of ones if your draft goes wrong or your early game goes wrong. So while we expect the group to fall a certain way, the fact that them both are 1-1 means Fnatic has to continue to take care of business.
Yeah, without a doubt. Another player that we didn't really touch on in this game in particular is Ryu for 100 Thieves. Interesting player in my mind just because of his history around international performances. You recall some of the H2K days. He actually showed up at Worlds tournaments, but then even domestically, we've been both disappointed all the way to elated around what he can do. This time around, some fancy feet on the LeBlanc, but we haven't necessarily seen anything that, would encourage us to put him next to the likes of a Caps or a Rookie or any of the other larger talented mid laners.
And I think the unfortunate thing for Ryu is it's just kind of the prestige of his career. He has such a deep and long resume that when you hear a name like Ryu and you see him, you have super high expectations. And even when he does hit good, he's not hitting great, and he's not hitting great consistently. And unfortunately, it kind of puts a blemish on his record when speaking about him.
All right, but if he steps up, it could make the difference for 100 Thieves rather moving forward. To get more insight on that victory, let's send it over to Avli for an interview with the player of the game for 100 Thieves.
Thanks, guys. I am here with player of the game, Afromu. 100 Thieves picking up their first win here at Worlds. Congratulations on that, and what does it really mean to the team?
Thanks. Getting our first win at Worlds is definitely a good confidence boost. Our first game on stage, we played very scared. Didn't think we played as aggressive as we would have liked to. So this game coming into it was just very important that understood how to play our style, be confident, take opportunities when they presented to us, and make sure we keep talking.
And the community has been pretty critical of Ricard since he was subbed in, but he actually had a great game today. What's your experience with him been like so far?
Ricardo had it rough. He actually had a sub in for us for semis, playoffs, you know, third place match, now Worlds. So he didn't really have a lot of time to prep for any of this. So it's his first Worlds game yesterday, and then first win today. So I'm happy he got a win. But he's doing his best.
You guys do have the option of Cody to sub in for any of these games, and he does have Worlds experience. So what would the conditions be like to bring him in?
Both AD carries can play, so it's totally up to Prolly. But whoever plays is based on scrim performance, and then coaching staff discussing it, choosing whoever goes. And for me, it's a little hard because both AD carries play different styles. So I have to like adapt to, you know, Cody's style, Sam's style, but it's still fun. And we all work together and to improve our bot lane, because bot lane is like the biggest meta at Worlds right now, where, you know, counter pick bots, Zai, Kaiser are the main AD carries, so all the supports are playing a lot of playmaking and stuff like that. So it's very important that, you know, we buckle down, and having 3 people in the bot lane definitely helps a lot.
I know a lot of people have eyes on Uzi as kind of the final boss in the bot lane, but who are the big bot lane opponents that you have on your radar?
Uzi's nuts. That guy's crazy. Other than that, I think Mata and
Definitely.
Def. Mata and Def's are really good. And then Ruler and Core JJ, those are the top 3 bot lanes here at Worlds right now.
Well, Afremu, thank you so much, and congratulations again on the win. And for everyone else, stick around, because after the break, we're going to see RNG take on Vitality.